Hello, everyone. Welcome. Everyone. Oh, I'm hearing myself. Gotta stop that. That's gonna be a problem. Drive me crazy. Must be this one. Bam. Okay, I think we're good. We're good! Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to the stream. I realized I forgot to do something. We are raising money for Vibrant, and I want to get that at the top of this screen here. I have it on the gameplay screen, but I want to stick it on this one as well. Down below, if you are on Twitch, there is a widget with which you can donate. And in YouTube, there should be a link in the description below. Tiltify, copy. Hopefully this works. Transition. Kabam! Like magic. How is everyone doing today? We're going to try something a little new. I'm not going to be beating any of these games. We're just going to be kind of going through this month games that deal with mental health in some way, whether overt or subtly. And we're going to talk about the games. We're going to talk about the mental health aspects as well. So today we're going to be talking about games that highlight trauma, that highlight loss. Also, I would say anxiety, bullying, self-loathing as well. So we're going to be discussing those topics today. I'm not going to be getting into spoilers for any of the games as much as possible. If you do see something during this series that looks like it speaks to you, I will direct you on how you can go and experience that yourself. It's kind of the plan, but we'll see how it goes. This is the first time. Plan on doing this every Saturday. And then I'm also streaming every Wednesday as well. And I'm not sure if that is going to be more of this, but I think that might just be mental health discussions. We'll be doing that on the Blind Wave Twitch as well as over on the Roll with the Punches YouTube channel, which is, yes, my caption got it right. I went in and fixed it, so every time I say roll, it does it this way. But yeah, Roll with the Punches is a channel that I started, if you're not familiar with it, about mental health, about wellness, just sort of overall wellness. You can go to rollpunches.com. There is a free campaign guide there that you can download. It functions as a journal, also functions as like a goal, tool to assist you in accomplishing goals. There's a lot of good stuff there. It's completely free. You don't have to sign up or anything. Just download the PDF. And there's some other YouTube videos over there as well dealing with different mental health issues, and there will be more in the future as well. But yes, we are raising money for Vibrant Emotional Health, which you can see up here. We have started nicely. We're going to be doing it the entire month. There's going to be some other exciting streams. Not a stream, but after my stream today over on Wave Squadron, which is the Star Wars Blind Wave channel, there's going to be part 2 of the Sons of Dathomir comic reading, which is a very fun video that you should check out for the other guys' amazing voice acting, if nothing else. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me this Saturday. It is rainy here in Marietta, Ohio, as you can see. It's going to be raining a lot for the next 10 days. So hopefully no more floods. We'll see. How's everyone doing today? I'm writing in both chats. Yes, I can see Roll with the Punches chat. I can see Blind Wave Twitch chat. I couldn't change the game at the beginning because I spent 2 hours setting up yesterday and forgot to log into Twitch. I was using Restream, so I got in today. I was like, oh, I need to change the game. Can't! Aaron's not answering his phone. But he did, and I got it changed, so it's good stuff. But yeah, 4 games today. We're going to be starting off with Ico, or Eco. I'm not actually sure how to say it. I've always called it Ico, but it is a game for the PS2. That is just a magical puzzle platformer. Before, you may have heard of Shadow of the Colossus by the same team. Came out before that game, but I think it's a good representation of trauma and healing. So I'm very excited about that. And then I want to look at, I'm not sure the order, but a game called Passage, which will only take us 5 minutes because it's a 5-minute game, but it's a profound illustration of minimalism of design that says a lot. So I want to look at that. It'll only take a little bit. And then we're going to go way back in time to a interactive fiction game that has no graphics other than text and color, I suppose, called Photopia, I believe is how you pronounce that one. That is, it's one of the best games that deal with loss that I can think of. We'll be looking at a few more of those as the month goes on, such as To the Moon, which is another good one. But Photopia has, we'll talk about it more once we get into the game, but it has my favorite moment of interaction in a game ever. Just using text. It's absolutely incredible. And then we'll be ending today with Persona 4. Like I said, I'm going to try to avoid spoilers if Persona 4 is something that you want to check out on your own, because it is a very story-heavy based game. I've played through a little bit yesterday to get us to the point where I want to talk about, so it sort of skips the beginning, but I'll fill you in to what exactly it is that you need to know. But feel free to chime in chat today if there is something that you want to discuss or ask questions about, either my thoughts on or personal experiences that I've had with mental health issues. If you're not familiar, I am currently diagnosed with severe depression, generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, PTSD, and autism. I think that's the entire list. And the last year in particular has been a struggle for me. And video games have always helped me explore my own feelings and have helped me dealt with difficult times in my life. So I kind of wanted to illustrate games that deal with that, but not necessarily games, because an example, the first time that I was diagnosed with depression, the first sort of silver lining out of that, where I could kind of see past it and felt a little more like I felt before, was when I played Devil May Cry 3 for the first time. And I wouldn't say like Devil May Cry 3 fixed my depression, or that it is a game that deals with depression necessarily, but it was just a way for my mind to focus on something to allow my mind and body to heal myself. But these games in particular, I think, are going to deal with some of the topics that we're dealing with today. But if you do have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. If you haven't seen the Roll with the Punches channel before, I don't really hold anything back about that kind of stuff. I'm pretty much comfortable talking about anything. If not, I'll just say that and we'll move on. So don't feel bad about it. But we are raising money for Vibrant Emotional Health, as you can see up there, which has a number of crisis hotlines, which a thing about depression I have found, or about mental illness in general, is that it's very easy to feel like a burden to people. So even if you have people in your life that you probably could talk to that sort of stuff about, friends, family, so on, it's easy to feel like you are a burden, and it can be difficult to burden people with that sort of stuff. So I think you absolutely should be talking to people about it. But there's also these crisis helplines that I saw a good quote on their website where it says, if you're not sure if you should call, you should call, sort of thing, where it's not like you're at the very end of your rope and it's either that or self-harm. It can be for any sort of crisis. So definitely check Vibrant out. And if you wish to give to them, like I said before, in the description of the YouTube channel, the YouTube stream, there's a link. And down below on Twitch, there's a widget where you can give directly to them. Because we don't want you giving money to us and then we give it to them. You're just giving money directly through Tiltify. All right, so that's how it's going to go. Hopefully we will have a good time, but also discuss some serious, important stuff. All right, let's go into our first game. I'm running this on PS2 emulator, but if you have a PS5, what's it called? Is it still called PS Now? It's the service where you can play PS2 games on your PS5, but you can play Ico on a PS5 if that is something that you're interested in. Yes, The Missing J.J. McField and the Island of Memories is a game that we will be highlighting this month. Now that I have replayed it a time or two since then and have a much better understanding of what it is and what it talks about, I do want to highlight that a little more. Okay, that should be fine. I'm not really going to have a great way to see donations as they come in, so I will be checking those periodically. Let me go ahead and check now before I get started. Let me close the game, because I don't want you to miss the opening. Okay, let's find that here. Donations. Today's the 4th. We have a $25 donation from Anonymous, so thank you so much. Every dollar helps, and we greatly appreciate it. All right, let's start the game and then switch over. Ah, you hear that sound? That sound brings me back. Still think PS2 is the best console ever made. Move that over. All right, hopefully we can see and hear that wonderful PS2 music. Moonimper says, games have always helped me during my epilepsy, depression, and being in and out of the hospital. Games help a lot. As an adult, my sis thinks me watching cartoons and playing games is not something I should do. Yeah, I disagree. I think games, cartoons, like fiction, I think can help us process emotions. I found that especially true for me. Yeah, being autistic, I've always had a lot of trouble processing, describing emotions, and sometimes I have to see it through, like experience it through an interactive medium in order for it to make more sense to me. Eco. Yeah, this game was just so revolutionary when it came out. Oh no, are my controls not mapped? I hear it going, but it's not going. Darn, I'll have to map them real quick. Close it out. Guess they do not stay. Let's see if I can remember how to do that. Controls. All right, gotta go through all the buttons. Could be playing with a PS5 controller on PC, like I said, using emulator. But Eco, just, it's art design, sound design, like it expresses so much with so little dialogue. And I think the puzzle design is absolutely tremendous. Like, it's definitely a... I don't know what it would be like to a modern gamer, because there's not a lot of hand-holding, despite there also being the most hand-holding in any game ever made, which we'll see in a second. But it's very much a puzzle game, where you need to come up with the solutions yourself. There's no... go this way, no objective markers, no map screen, anything like that. Let's do it again. Hopefully this is going to work. Yeah, What Remains of Edith Finch is another game that I want to highlight this month. But if you guys do have ideas for games that we should highlight, leave them. The best place would be in the comments on the Roll with the Punches YouTube video. But you can type them in chat and stuff as well. And I'll try to go back and refer to that later. Oh, yes. I will wish Eric a happy anniversary from you. It is his anniversary today, May 4th. Okay, good. It worked. Vibration on, though I don't know if it actually works. Is the volume mix okay? Should be hearing the sounds of a river. Yeah, just incredibly atmospheric. Like I said, the song we played at the beginning of the stream was Castle in the Mist, and it's very much a castle in the mist. Just feels so mysterious, so ethereal and fantastical, but also it feels real. I think the sound design in particular really grounds you in the world, makes you feel like you're really in this place. Taken in by two guards, horns on their helmets. Into the castle. Yeah, this is the same team who made Shadow of the Colossus. This came out before. Also, The Last Guardian. World with some magic, maybe science. Wouldn't want to get your tie cut in those wheels. I've not played any of the games that you mentioned. Yeah, just terrible. Locking this little boy in this sarcophagus just because he was born with horns. Yeah, this is the start. Kingdom Hearts 1 got you through your parents' divorce. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but Kingdom Hearts 1, I could definitely see that. You're escaping to these different worlds. It's a lovely game. I've only played the first one. Trapped in the castle wasn't bad enough. Gotta deal with shadow magic. Yeah. That's sort of... that feeling of being taken in by darkness. Certainly what depression can feel like. Sort of suffocating hopelessness. Is my mic too quiet? I can pick it up a little. How's that? Okay, we'll see how that is. But yeah, 3D puzzle platformer that just has an immense scope. Why is the camera... Okay. It's weird, I feel like it wasn't like this when I played it before. I felt like I was more in the middle of the screen. Here, let's do that maybe. Yeah, I can adjust with the control, with the stick. Okay, but yeah. Being a kid born different is something that I identify with. I was not diagnosed with autism when I was a kid, but obviously been autistic my entire life. And even though I didn't have horns on my head, I certainly was different, unless I chose to be otherwise, if that makes sense. It's a thing called masking that is pretty common in neurodivergent people, where they will sort of mask the more outward expressions of autism or ADHD in order to fit in more. And it's a very draining and traumatic thing in order to do. And I'm not sure that, like, I was bullied when I was in like kindergarten and first grade. And after that, I wasn't like physically bullied anymore after that. But there would be times when, you know, you would be made fun of for certain things. For me, I tended to be, I think, too empathetic for what people thought a boy should be. So I certainly got teased a little for that. But yeah, I just, like, you know, I can only imagine what Iko went through as a kid in his village, because, so a kid in the village is born with horns, and they're meant to be sacrificed at this castle. They're seen as a curse on the village, so they are sacrifice to the castle in order to bring good fortune to the village. So I can't imagine that he had a happy childhood before this one. And just, I feel like this game uses the scope of this castle in order to make you feel small and helpless. You don't really get traditional weapons in this game until much later in, and even then, like, combat is not really the focus of the game. It's more about using your mind, but it's also about meeting someone who also has dealt with trauma, as we will see here in a second, and sort of overcoming it together with another person and healing. This game has my favorite saving the game mechanic of any game. We'll see that a little later on, but it's just, I think this game is very good at making you feel alone, more so than other games. Like, there's not really any music going on, you just hear the emptiness of the castle. It's so vast, and when I think of footsteps in a video game, like the sound effect, this is the game that I think of. Just because it's often all you're hearing. Alright, I think the camera's sort of fixed itself now, so. The controls are very different if you are unfamiliar with, or like, you press triangle to jump instead of X, which I feel like is a little more standard nowadays, so it certainly can be a little difficult to go back to, but I think it's worth it, because there are certainly some platforming portions of it, but I think the ambiance and the environment makes up for it. So here we meet Yorda. But yeah, it's amazing, like, what your perspective of adults are when you're a kid versus adults when you're an adult, at least for me. Like, I thought I would understand and be able to deal with myself so much more once I got to an adult. Like, I would have all these answers, and like, things that weren't a problem, things that were a huge problem for me wouldn't be a problem anymore. But they really never stopped being issues. I found like different ways to cope with different things, but I still feel like a child, I think, in a lot of ways, especially when things like depression and anxiety are at their highest, where you just feel like you can't comfort yourself. And I think people sort of expect that with children and deal with them differently than adults. But I think adults get that way too and need comforted. I know how to do this. Oh yeah, it's up here. And I think too, like someone said before about their sister looking down on them for playing video games or watching cartoons, like at least for me and other neurodivergent people that I've talked to, and I'm sure this applies to non-neurodivergent people as well, but like, you just need that time of comfort. Like, you never lose that. And I think whatever comforted you as a kid might still comfort you as an adult. Like, some things might drop off, but some things maybe you should try again if you haven't tried them in a long time. Something that you used to do as a kid. Like, for me, I look at my daughter, and she has not yet been diagnosed with autism, but we are in the process of having that diagnosis. And like, I see so much of my childhood in her and the things that she does in order to deal with her emotions. Like, she will run around the house and jump up and down and flail her arms, and like all these drastic motions that I stifled myself at some point in my life from doing, because people said that those kind of actions were making them nervous, or that it was weird, or something like that. So in order to fit in better, I stifled that stuff. And then in my puberty years, I was getting diagnosed with anxiety and such, which should have been diagnosed as autism. And I was put on antidepressants, which made it to when I got off from them, I kind of hadn't trained myself enough in dealing with those emotions, I think. So now I'm trying to look at her and bring some of those things back. The arm flailing, the rocking, not being afraid to let my body express what my emotions can't do otherwise. I try to do that more in reactions, but it's been tough for me. Because like, you feel like you don't want it to be distracting, or you feel like you don't want to miss what's going on in the show. Because like, we pause things a lot at our house here, because Evie needs to get up and run around, or I need to get up and run around, or whatever. It is a lot like a pressure valve, yeah. Okay, then no, it's over here. Right? It's on the other side. I think my controller's calibrated wrong. I just did it real quick on the emulator. That's why this camera is all weird. But luckily, I already know where I'm going. To the actual game, it's not like this. The camera's much better. Imaginary B, mentioning the stifling yourself and the early mention of masking makes me think about how much I still suppress my impulses, action, fidgets, how tiring mentally and physically it can be. Currently undiagnosed autism and ADHD. Yeah, it's just, it takes so much to do. And like, another reason why I want to do it more on camera is I want it to just seem more normal and to be more accepted for people in general. That's why I wear earplugs that aren't just clear. Like, I want to show people that some people need to wear earplugs. Some people need to wear colored glasses. So I think this is just such a beautiful scene, because you have these two children racked by trauma, can't understand each other with language, but I feel like they can understand each other through that trauma and through their experiences. We have the shadows, which we'll be dealing with shadows in... Oops, wrong way. I gotta pick up the torch first. Gotta run. Go. Okay. We're out. Unlike in Persona 4, which we'll get into in a second here, I think these shadows... It's interesting to see games use the same type of entities for different metaphors. Like, I think the shadows here represent something different than they do in Persona 4, which we'll see a little bit later on. Okay. Wants me to fight fight, right? Yeah. Oh. Now this part is gonna be tricky because my controller is miscalibrated. We'll be okay. I'm gonna have to. Oh, sorry for the camera work. Hope it doesn't make you sick. Okay. Good. And so, as we will see right here. This is also something I felt very strongly in my life, where like I feel like I am less than capable, or it would be just so painful to be able to like do everything, to be able to journey in life without the help of others. Because there are things that I am more suited to than others. And we sort of see that here, where our main character, you know, can jump and climb and fight, but he can't open the doors. And so the only way that we're going to get through this trauma and recover is with another person. And this is just one of my favorite things in gaming. Just sitting on this couch in order to save. It's sort of, you have to have Yorda with you in order to do it. But I imagine them just like sitting on that couch and talking. I mean, not them, because they can't understand each other, but like having that presence and just being able to share their feelings and be able to use that in order to save themselves. It's just, it's absolutely beautiful, absolutely brilliant. One of my favorite games of all time, Eco. That's the main bits that I wanted to show off. I didn't know if anyone had any questions or other discussions that they would like to have before we move on. We have 3 other games to cover today. Yeah, like I talked about before, about the most, like the least and the most hand-holding in games, where you can hold R1 in order to, or you can press R1 when next to Yorda in order to hold her hand. You sort of lead her along. And it's similar to The Last Guardian in that she doesn't feel like a video game character that you're escorting. She feels more like a person. And a person that you can't really communicate with, at least not with words. So she doesn't always do what you want her to do. But I know some people who have played this game and found that frustrating, but I just find that real. And it just encourages a patience, I think. Because, like, there will be moments, I think, where you need to be more patient with another person because that person needs that patience at that time. Like, they're hurting in that moment, or they can't regulate in that moment, or whatever. And, like, it's up to all of us to be a little more patient with one another, I think. So I've played Persona 3, 4, and 5, and I like all of them a great deal. They are not perfect games, I don't think, and even some of the messaging of the games themselves, I think, are a little flawed. But I think some of the messaging is fantastic, which we'll talk about a little more once we get to Persona 4. Okay, well, the controller is a little hard to deal with, and that's really all I wanted to say about Eco anyway, so I think we can move on. So let's close out of that, and then come back to here. Kabam! All right, so that's Eco. Like I said, if you have a PlayStation 5, maybe even a PlayStation 4, through, I think it's just PlayStation Plus, there's one of the tiers where you can access PS2 games, and that's one of the ones that you can play via that. You can also emulate it. I use PCSX2 as an emulator. I still have my PS2 copy of the game. It's absolutely brilliant. Very, very good. Let's see. Moon Empress. I think it's crazy mental health is still not talked about, and people were scared to talk about it. Like, one of my favorite actors had depression, which I had no clue, as he seemed to be a happy, amazing happy actor. Was Robin Williams, such a great actor and comedian. Loved most of his movies. The two that got me teary are Jack and Patch Adams. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I can't speak for him, but I think part of it is that it's not talked about enough in society. Therapy is something that just in my lifetime has become much more accepted of a thing. And I'm not that old. And I still don't think it's ubiquitous. Like, I think you should be seeing a therapist at least like you should be seeing your doctor, like your general practitioner. Like, you should have checkups and just have that. Like, it should just be something for everyone, I think. Just sort of a check-in. Because we all have times when we struggle. But yeah, and, for Robin as well, that thing about not wanting to be a burden and not wanting to talk about it. I have found in my own life that it was something that I did not talk about or share with anyone. And I did start feeling so much better once I did. And I have that, and it started with people around me in my life, but it sort of continued on to the internet here. And I think it's been a good thing for me, and hopefully it's helped other people as well. And I would encourage other people to do it, because by putting that out there, you show more and more people that they're not alone, and that other people have felt similar things to what they have felt and have gotten through them. Corey says, being around others is totally something that's very important to me. When my head isn't in the best state, it allows the world to feel a bit more real and tangible and what's in my head. Yeah, I think being around other people, even when you don't necessarily feel like it, especially when you're suffering from depression, I think is important. So I do want to talk about, see if I can pop it up on stream here. So image. There's a book that has helped me a lot. She also has some audio recordings as well that I have found to be very helpful. Okay, let's copy this, paste it here. All right, let's pop that up. I quite like Hope and Help for Your Nerves by Claire Weeks. Like I said, all of her stuff I think is great. She's one of the major pioneers when it comes to therapeutic treatment and understanding of anxiety. But I think that a lot of her stuff applies to more than just anxiety. I think it can also touch upon depression, and I think it's even helped me with autism as well, where her big thing is acceptance, about not trying to fight against your emotions. Like the ideal is not to not feel anxious. The ideal is to be able to live with your anxiety. And we'll talk about that more once we get to Persona 4, because I feel like there's a lot of correlations and connections there. But if you are looking for some reading material, or like I said, I think her audiobooks are fantastic. I have them all on Audible, and they've helped me a tremendous amount during the last year. But I've read a lot of books on anxiety because, you know, I've had it since I've been diagnosed with it since I was 11 years old. And I've always been a very analytical, logical person. So I'm like, well, if I learn enough about this, I can fix it. So I've read most of them, and almost all of the ones that I have seen, if not all of the ones I have seen, are really just taking her ideas. Now that doesn't mean that those don't have worth, because sometimes things need to be framed or explained differently in order for them to connect to a person. But I think her stuff is incredible. All right, let's go to the next one, which is only going to be 5 minutes. Let's find it here. You can play this one on your internet browser for free. It's at passage.toolness.org. I have a link below, I believe. Let's see here. Let's go to game. And let's change this to this. Okay. Cool. Hopefully we see that. I'll just leave that book there. Why not? Actually, I might need to move this over. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to move it over. Because we're not in the land of 4x3 anymore, are we? I actually can't remember. But I don't want to restart it once we start. So let's move that over there. Let's hide this for now. And yes, just once again, real quick, we are raising money for... Let me go back so I can look it up here. We are raising money for Vibrant. All month, which you can donate via the link in the description of the Roll with the Punches YouTube video, or down below there is a widget on Twitch. And your money is going to Vibrant and their various crisis hotlines, which, let me get up the list of them here. They have the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, which also has specialty lines on it for there's one for veterans, there's one for LGBTQI plus individuals. They have youth, they have rural populations. And it's going to connect you with someone as local to you as possible, is the idea. So we're really happy to be partnered with them. And we are trying to raise $5,000 before the month is over. And there's going to be more streams for that as well. Every stream that we're normally having, Eric's going to be doing God of War DLC coming up. We're also going to be having a Rock Band stream the last week of the month, I do believe, where people are going to be able to donate money in order to us to select songs, is sort of the idea. So that should be interesting. Or painful. Probably painful. I'm not a great singer. Calvin's very good. The other guys aren't bad. But I am no good. Although it is something that I have used when exercise still is a little for me, but when it was difficult for me to do, I found singing was a fairly good way to relieve stress. It's something I need to get back into. Okay, I want to play this game. Let's transition. And get this window up. Okay. Start game. Hopefully the volume's not crazy. Full screen. Okay. Can we all see the game? I don't think there's anything to hear yet. But there will be as soon as we start. Okay, good. How's that volume? Is it too loud? The game? Volume fine. Okay, good. Yeah, so this is Passage, which is a little indie game that really spoke to me when I first played it. I'll have to look when it came out after this, but it is exactly a 5-minute video game. No matter what you do, if I stand still, you'll notice that the world, myself and the world continue to shift to the right. So I, at the beginning, came across this girl, and we're now traveling through life together. But that's optional. You can avoid her and travel it through yourself. If you do travel through yourself, you'll notice that you can get through a lot of these gaps that I can't get through now. And there's treasure chests down there. Those treasure chests give you points. But you'll notice that every step I take, I'm getting 2 points as I'm traveling to the right. Whereas if I was on my own, I would only get 1 point. That's sort of the basics of it. There's a little more to explore than that. But you'll notice as I go this way, there are more and more obstacles, but greater treasure rewards. Or, at the very top, I can make greater progress towards the right without any obstacles whatsoever. You'll notice our characters are starting to age. Our hair is dulling a little bit. And you'll notice when we started the game, everything off to the right of the screen was very blurred and distorted. Very difficult to see into our future. But now you'll notice it's getting a little more clear. We can kind of see evenly behind and in front of us. But now, the past is starting to distort. The far past. As we are getting closer and closer to the future. And there's not a lot of future left. Like I said, if I were to stand still, I'm still traveling onward to that future. You'll notice now we've aged considerably. The man's lost his hair, the woman is graying. We finally got back to some green grass. Was the grass greener on the other side? Or could we have just stayed where we were? For such a small game, it has given me a lot to think about. And I think this is a good example of how video games should tell stories. I think Eco is also a good one. Like, I like cutscenes, but cutscenes are not the strength of what video games can do. Now she's passed away, and we're back to only gaining 1 point as we ever more slowly move along. And notice now that the past is just a blur. And we're about at the end of our 5 minutes. And there it is. Passage. Yeah, I've linked it. I recommend checking it out, meditating on its themes. There's also on that website some designer notes of him talking about it, which I think are well worth a read. Ideally, you would come across this in the wild and experience it yourself, and then read those interpretations and have your own. But, most people probably aren't going to come across this nowadays. It's older. Let me switch over here. Let me see if I can... Yeah, this was 2007 when this came out. And I played this when it came out. Jason Royer, I believe, is the creator's name. I need to check out some of his other stuff as well, but that one in particular, Passage, just really spoke to me. You still age if you don't move. Yeah. So you have 5 minutes. And what you do with those 5 minutes is up to you. I just think it speaks a lot about life. And it does it only using interaction and the simplest of graphics. Thank you, Dragon Master, for the 34 months. Happy 34 months, and may the 4th be with you all. Yeah, Dora, you can do nothing and gain nothing, or you can act. But at the end, what do those points mean? Like, what do they represent? Were they worth it? And by the time you reach the end, all of those memories of what you've done have faded, at least in the game. But yeah, just striking, I think. Have I played the new Persona 3 remake? I haven't. So I've only played Persona 3 Fez, original Persona 4, and then Persona 5 Royale. For this stream, I got Persona 4 Golden, and that's the first time I touched that version of the game, which I'll have some things to say about it. I obviously haven't played the whole thing, but... Alright. Cool. So, the next one I want to look at is Photopia. Oh, I just closed it. Darn it. That's what I... Alright. This should be good. Okay, good. Good. So this is an interactive fiction game. When did this come out? 1998. Award-winning. But this one has even less graphically. But is one of my favorite fictional media portrayals of loss. And I'm not going to spoil it, because I think it's a game that still deserves to be played. If you've never played an interactive fiction game, you might struggle a little bit, but what's nice about interactive fiction is I think it has a lot less barrier of entry. Like, you don't need to... Some people just can't maneuver a character in a 3D world. Like, growing up, my dad and I played a few video games together, but once it got out of the 2D era, it was really too much for him in order to do. So we would really only play 2D stuff together or light gun games at a certain point. And I think interactive fiction, if you've never experienced it before, it's just like a text adventure game where you have text on a screen and you input commands with your keyboard, typing them out, like go north, right? If you want to walk north or something like that. And people debate whether or not interactive fiction classifies as a video game. And some of them certainly are linear. And I think Photopia is one of the more linear ones out there. However, I think that Photopia succeeds due to its interactivity. Like, I think it will still work really well as a short story. But I think the interactivity enhances it. And I'll explain why as we play. But it has what I think is the best, what's called magician's choice in gaming. And a magician's choice is where the player feels like they have a choice, but they don't have a choice. And you see this in pretty much every video game, especially video games that say like choices matter, right? Because I hope we're back. Oh, all my stuff crashed. Scene. There we go. My mic on? Okay. Hello. I believe we're back. Bring it up on my windows again. Sorry about that. OBS crashed. It could not handle a text-based game. All right, get my YouTube chat. And okay, good. Let's pop that out. All right, sorry about that. Okay, let's get the charity back up. Make sure I didn't miss any donations. But yeah, the next game is going to be Photopia, which I also linked in the YouTube video in the description. You can play it for free directly in your browser. I believe it works on mobile, but I've always done it on PC. I need to go to my campaigns. Here we go. Thank you, Sleepy Otaku, for the donations. It's nice to be streaming again. It's one of those things where the longer I don't do it, the more anxious I get about doing it, and then the harder it is to do. So I need to just do it more consistently, and I won't have to go through all that. Donations, bam. I did miss Mr. Jammers for the $10 giving to Vibrant Emotional Health Inc. Thank you so much. We're raising money all month, trying to reach $5,000. I think we can do it. All right, let's get the game back up, and we'll play. So this is another one I don't want to spoil too much. I do apologize for the whiteness. It will not be white here in a second. Gaming. Let's get rid of that. Let's make this. Oh, I see. I see why it's that size. That makes sense. if I do that, there we go. Let's fit to screen. There we go. Apologize for the not dark mode, but it's important we're not in dark mode, and you'll see why. Okay, no audio, no music for this one. You'll just have the sultry sounds of my voice. I want chat out so I can still see you guys as we go. Okay. Rupass is on a watch streak. Awesome. All right. Photopia. I should not need instructions. Watch me regret. Will you read me a story? Read you a story? What fun would that be? I've got a better idea. Let's tell a story together. Bam! Interactive fiction explained. In the first 2 lines. Speeding down Montgomery Boulevard. The street lights are bright, unbearably bright. You have to squint as hard as you can to keep your retinas from bursting into flame. Welcome back to the land of the living, bud, Rob says. You plan sticking around for a while, or are you going to pass out again? So one thing I've learned about hot chicks is that they actually don't like it when you pass out on them in the middle of getting it on. You hear me? So if that's like your plan, then I'm dropping you off and showing up solo. You don't exactly remember where the day went, but as you listen to Rob rant on, bits of it start to float back to you. A day on the slopes, the brisk February wind against your face, polishing off a keg back at the lodge. Those 2 girls you and Rob had hit it off with. The ones who'd given you their address in town. We should get together sometime, they said. Of course, Rob insisted that by sometime, they'd meant later tonight. You hadn't been so sure, but then you blacked out before you could argue the point. How Rob came to be driving your car, you're not exactly sure. Apparently you couldn't wait till you were sober enough to drive it yourself. From the way he's weaving all around the road, he's also apparently couldn't wait until he was sober enough to drive it either. Rob checks himself out in the rearview mirror. Man, I'm one handsome dude, he says approvingly. All right, so those of you who have never done interactive fiction or text adventures before, you have a command prompt where you can give commands. X is examine, it's short for that. It depends on the game, but you can often go directions, you can pick up things, you can use things. So like if you have played like a LucasArts adventure game like a Monkey Island or something of the Scum engine, like those verbs come from text adventures in interactive fiction. But I'm going to examine myself. You're as good looking as ever, which is a hell of a lot better looking than Rob. Rob looks at the scrap of paper with the address on it as the 2 of you go screaming through an empty intersection. Aw, man, it's a fake address. They gave us no, wait, it's upside down. He turns the paper right side up. Oh, hey, they're right on Bartlett Hill Road. Sweet. You played the Hint Hunter? Yes, the Hint Hunter is from this same vein, although a little less narrative driven than this one. Talk to Rob. All right, what do you guys think? Number 1, ask Rob about alcohol level. Number 2, ask Rob about those chicks. Number 3, you idiot, pull over. I've been given a C, which is not a choice. Thank you, Mad Noel, for the 26 months. I have 2 3s. I'm going to go for 3. You idiot, pull over. Only reason I'd pull over is to let you out and keep going on, dude, Rob says. You look up. Hey, it's red, you say. Huh, what? Rob says. The light, you say. You know red, as in stop, but you don't stop. You don't even slow down as you fly into the intersection, and the light stays an unmistakable red. Bam! Blew my mind when I got here the first time. You're Wendy McKay. I should know how to pronounce that. I'm going to go with McKay. McKay? McKay. Wendy McKay. A first girl on the red planet. When you signed up for this mission, you thought that you were going to be coming to a habitable colony. Habitable means you can live there. See, the orbiter was supposed to drop all the pieces of the colony, the power plant, the living quarters, the greenhouse, things like that, onto the planet's surface, packed in airbags which would bounce around and then open up when they were safely on the ground. Some of the airbags were supposed to hold big trucks which would be operated by remote control, dragging the pieces of the colony into their proper places. Your job was to take a tour of the place and verify that everything was up and running. Verify means to make sure. Instead, something went wrong on the orbiter, and it blew up before it had a chance to drop off its payload. Pieces of the orbiter and the colony rained all over the landscape. So this has become a salvage mission. Your instruments indicate that there's at least one piece that's still functioning. Functioning means not broken. Your job is to find that piece, or pieces, if there's more than one. So you climb down the ladder of your ship and step onto the surface of an alien world. What a twist, am I right? Landing site. You were standing at the base of your ship. The onboard computers selected this general area as the most likely place to find salvageable remains of what would have been the colony. Salvageable means you can save it. The battered, rust-red landscape stretches out before you in every direction, pitted and pockmarked and littered with boulders. A ladder leads up to the hatch of your ship. Examine the ship. This is your trusty spaceship, which you recently renamed from the Space Pony to the Aspiration. A wise choice, if I may say so. Examine self. You hardly need to be reminded what you look like, Wendy. Even if you didn't see yourself in the mirror every morning, the countless newspaper pictures and magazine covers would remind you. I love that line. All right, let's go north. You take a few steps to the north, amazed at how light gravity turns each step into a great bounding leap. Near the huge tread, you are standing next to what seems to be a piece of a bulldozer or some other sort of construction equipment. Excuse me. It is a set of wheels, each one bigger across than you are tall, wrapped in a tread like an army tank. You can tell it landed with some force from the ring of debris that surrounds it in a perfect circle. Go north again. Among the ruins of the living quarters, as you walk, you find first one geodesic panel, then another. When people make a dome out of a simple polygon like a triangle or hexagon, they call it geodesic. Soon the clear plastic panels are as plentiful as the rust-red boulders. This must be where the dome for the living quarters landed. Soon you find you're right. Scattered around you are the remains of what would have been the home to the first wave of colonists. Most of the housing units have been reduced to unidentifiable splintered heaps, but there's one that seems to be intact. Intact means that it isn't so damaged that it's unusable. The entrance is partially obstructed. Obstructed means blocked by debris, but you're small enough that you could probably squeeze through. It's part of what makes you the perfect person for this job. Aside from your astronautical experience. Astronautical doesn't really mean anything. I just made it up. Does anyone have any theories as to what's going on here? Let's go inside. Go inside unit. Inside the housing unit. Since no one ever moved into this unit, it's really nothing more than an empty gray box, no bigger than your bedroom back home. These quarters weren't designed with anything but sleeping in mind. The first colonists were expected to take their meals in a central dining commons. The bathrooms were to be in a separate structure. each one shared by a number of people. Still, you can't help but feel a twinge. This was going to be someone's home. The first thing they saw when they woke up, the place they looked forward to retreating to after a hard day researching, or exploring the planet's surface, or helping to maintain the colony. They were going to practice There were going to be pictures on these walls, footprints on the floor. Now the only footprints left here will be yours. Leave unit. Exit. Okay. North. Among the ruins of the power plant. The power plant is in substantially worse shape than the living quarters. Considering that they were completely wrecked, that's saying something. Though the fissionable materials were specifically packaged to prevent them from exploding, the Geiger counters in your suit indicates this area is still very radioactive. I'll explain that part later. For now, let's just say it's very dangerous and you should probably be moving along. Near the wrecked bulldozer. You're standing near what appears to be most of a bulldozer. Maybe the one that the tread you saw used to be attached to. Aside from that, this area is fairly desolate. Among the ruins of a greenhouse. The colonization plans called for a central dome where plants designed to thrive in the harsh, lifeless soil of the red planet would be grown and used for food. Everywhere you look are broken containers that once held seed pods and now contain nothing but cinders and ash. Among the scattered seed pod containers, you find one single undamaged one. Take pod. The moment you touch the seed pod container, the clicking in your helmet stops. This is the only item you will be able to save. Let's trek back to our ship. Enter ship. Gently placing the seed pod on the seat next to you, you rocket back into space, leaving the red planet in your wake. Soon a familiar cloud-streaked blue ball appears on your monitors. You are home again at last. Also, I should mention, there's more to explore and do. I'm just showing you part of it. But something goes terribly wrong. The heat shields hold up fine during re-entry, but the parachutes fail to open as you head for splashdown. As you plummet at an incredible rate, the ocean growing closer and closer. You hear a splash. Examine self. You are Mary Dawson. You are still getting used to not having to get into your car and drive to the office every morning. Well, it's wonderful to be able to spend more time with Allie. There have been times where we've been so busy keeping her fed and entertained on one hand, trying to get some work done on the other. Then Sam comes home at 6 in the evening and you still haven't showered. Examine room. Look around. Look. In your home office. When you and Sam put that down payment on this house 5 years ago, you were expecting that you were going to need all 4 bedrooms eventually. But after the complications with Allison, you found yourself with a couple extra on your hands. This one came in very handy when you started telecommuting. You can't say you're exactly glad that this room has become an office instead of a bedroom for a brother or sister of Allie's. But you are glad that you and Sam decided not to move into that smaller house you were considering. Your computer screen is, as usual, cluttered with details of the Peterson account. Examine splash. Now you only hear the whir of your computer, but you would swear you heard a splash just a couple seconds ago. The splash you heard is beginning to worry you. Exit. You are standing in the hallway just outside your office. Your guest Gabriel's room lies just ahead of you. The door wide open, a flight of stairs leads down to the ground floor. Go downstairs. As you reach the bottom of the stairs, you look through the sliding glass door leading to the backyard and feel a bayonet slice through your heart. Allie is floating face down in the pool. It takes all the willpower you possess to open the door as you dash outside instead of simply throwing yourself through the glass. Your backyard isn't exactly sprawling, but is more than big enough to accommodate the small swimming pool which Allison was never supposed to be allowed near. At least not until she learned how to swim. Allie is floating face down in the pool. Gabriel pokes his head outside to see what's the matter. "Aye!" he cries. "Rescue her from the pool. I'll call emergency." Rescue Allie. You jump into the pool. In a matter of seconds, have Allie safely on the cement bank, but she still isn't breathing. Gabriel comes dashing back outside, telephone in hand. The ambulance are coming, and at the same time I have instructions for CPR, he declares. First, you must tilt back her head. So I almost drowned in a pool as a kid. I was at a friend's house and went towards the deeper end. And luckily his dad noticed what was happening, dove in to save me. When my mom came to pick me up, he said that I cost him a pack of cigarettes and 10 years off from his life. Because he just dove in with the cigarettes in his shirt pocket. Okay. Tilt back head. You tilt her head back. Good, Gabriel says. Now you must breathe into her mouth. Breathe into mouth. You breathe into Allie's mouth. Good, Gabriel says. Now you must press her chest. Press chest. You apply pressure to Allie's chest and suddenly she coughs up a mouthful of water. A minute later, she's sitting up and looking around bewilderedly. "Allison," you cry. "Allison, baby, how many times have I told you not to go near the pool? Another minute and we would have lost you. You know you're not supposed to go anywhere near." "I wanted to see," she says. "What?" you say. "I wanted to see," she says, "if the world looked the same under the water as it does over it." Sea blue. That's where we'll end on this one. There's plenty more game to go, and we haven't gotten to that magician's trick that I talked about, but without spoiling too much of the game, it is about loss. And I suppose about childhood imagination, about parenting, about... manages to be about so much for a game that you can beat in an afternoon. But yeah, just I first played this game around the time that my great uncle Regis passed away. So here, I'll switch back to the other camera. Bam. So for like my childhood, my parents divorced when I was pretty young, and I was kind of raised by a village, I guess they say, where mom was a single mom, wasn't really getting child support, so was taking care of my sister and I on her own, and had to work, so I stayed a lot with our relatives. And my parents also had me pretty young, and their parents had them young, and so on and so forth. So I got to know my great-great-grandmother, which, you know, I got to know all these people from like different times, and just was very fortunate because of that. But also because I got to know more of them, and maybe in some cases got closer to them than someone in a different circumstance, you know, who had both a mom and a dad like for their whole lives. I've lost more grandparents than most people. I think I've lost, I want to say it's 12 grandparents. And then I've also was very close to my great uncle. His name is Regis. I've talked to him about him a little bit on my chess streams, but he is the one who taught me how to play chess, and he sort of was kind of a father figure between my mom's divorce and her marrying my stepdad. And so losing him, it was very sudden. It was a heart attack and was unexpected. And that hit me pretty hard. And I had played this game around that time. And this game also deals with loss. A different type of loss than that, but still loss. And it helped me sort of process that loss in some ways, I think. And I think that's something that's great about fiction and art. Not just fiction, but like art as a way to be able to express and process emotions that might be difficult to do otherwise. Like being autistic, I think I struggle more with that than most. But I found that through stories, especially like fiction and interactive fiction, where you can read about, like it explains to you what people are thinking. You don't have to look at someone and guess, which is something that I really struggle to do. It's a little easier in animation for me than it is with an actual person's face. But interactive fiction engages you in an additional way where, because it pauses and you have to solve a puzzle, you have time in order to process what's happening more than organically you do in a book. Like I can read a very powerful passage in a book and I can pause and I can consider that, but it's not part of the design of the book. Whereas in interactive fiction, I can pace my fiction in a way, or the designer can pace their fiction in a way that they can give you moments of gameplay when you're also processing things that have happened in the fiction. And so they can sort of structure that in a way where they have artistic control, where you don't have that as an author in a book. Where you can't control where someone stops reading for the night and puts the bookmark in the book. Dora, will you highlight Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons? The mechanic at the end really hits hard. Yes, that is one I will be hitting this month. I agree that Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is another one that uses a gameplay mechanic in order to evoke feeling. It's one of the best examples I've ever seen. And this game has one of the best examples, if not the best example that I've ever seen. I highly recommend playing it. Even if you want to look up a walkthrough and have that just at the ready so you can experience it. But there's one command when you're in the labyrinth that is just a magical thing. And it really, that whole sequence emburdens the idea of being able to, because I've heard of mental struggles depicted as a storm a lot, or as waves on an ocean during a storm. And I think a storm is a good metaphor in that behind that storm there is a blue sky. But while you're in the storm, the blue sky might as well not even exist, because you're just so overwhelmed by what's happening around you. It's hard to remember that there is something past it. And I think the labyrinth in Photopia has maybe my favorite depiction of that, where there is a clever way in which you are allowing yourself to get out of that storm and to be able to be yourself once again. Really, really good stuff. Moon Empress, sorry to hear that, Rick. I lost my granddad a few years ago. My gran last year. Next to my mom, they were really supportive of things I did. I remember wanting to go to my local school my sis went to, but I couldn't. So he didn't have a record of needs. And I remember my granddad, who was an interpreter, went, so my granddaughter isn't going here till there's a record of needs. Not sure exactly what record of needs refers to. At first they went and sold on it, but found they could make money. It was a different story. I'm not exactly sure what that refers to, but I'm sorry for your loss. And we'll be talking more about loss in other games as well. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is a good example. To the Moon is another good one. But just it's why I feel like we should never stop making connections with people. Like even as loss continues to hit you, like you shouldn't try to deal with that loss completely on your own. I think it's important to share that with others. Yes, Persona 4 is next. I need to relaunch Steam because I had to restart my computer because everything crashed. Hopefully this will work for me. I had some trouble getting the controller to work yesterday, but hopefully it's all sorted now. Something that schools need for people with learning difficulties. Not sure what it's called in America, but in UK it's called record of needs. I see. Yeah, so schools in America will sometimes have special programs and special teachers or teachers' assistants to help students with learning difficulties. We also, in our area at least, have schools that are... So it's done both ways here, where there are separate programs for people at schools that are public schools, but then there are also schools that also cater specifically towards people with disabilities. Okay, let's hit play. And then I'm going to have to go here. Capture the window. Minimize, and then go back. Oh, my headphones turned off. That's why I can't hear anything. How's the audio balance? Audio seems good. Sweet. So I had played Persona 4 on the PS2, and I've also watched many number of times Giant Bomb's endurance run of Persona 4. I absolutely love Persona 4. Probably my favorite. I played 3, 4, and 5. And that's it. This was my first time playing Golden, because it was just easier for me to capture this. And I haven't, I'm only a couple hours in, which is nothing for Persona 4. It's a very long game. But I don't like a lot of the changes so far. I like the graphics better on the PS2. And Chie's voice really bugs me. And I don't know if it's just because I'm so used to the original, or if it's the performance of Chie in this one, but man, it took me out of it as I sort of skipped ahead in order to get to the point where I want to talk about today. I'm curious for people who played Persona 4 Golden for the first time. What do you think of Chie's voice actress? I know she, like, the original hasn't been Chie forever. I haven't played Reload. I played Persona 3 Fez. But that was a long time ago. Like, when Fez came out. Whenever that was. So, like, I remember... And I've only played that one once. I only remember sort of the main story beats. But it's hard for me to go back to. Like, I love the metaphorical language of using the guns in order to summon the personas, but at a certain point in my life that just became too hard for me to deal with, so I've never gone back and played it again. But I did beat Persona 3 Fez back in the day. I've only played 5 once as well, but 4 has been a few times. Okay, I want this one. So just for people who are not familiar with Persona 4, I will explain the story up to this point. I won't be spoiling a lot, so if this is something you want to go and experience, I won't be spoiling major story elements. I'll only be talking about the first couple hours of the game, which is really just the setup. So we are a character that you get to name, and our parents are off out of the country, out of Japan, on business. And so we are moving in with our uncle for a year. We're from the city, but we're moving to a smaller town called Inaba. And some strange things happen to us. So we meet this strange, mysterious man in a limo who says that we are sort of the one. We have these powers in order to discover truth. And we kind of come to learn that a truth that we need to discover in this game is these murders that are happening around Inaba. And so we go to school, we meet some characters. It's kind of where we are. I guess the other thing we would have missed is there's this thing called the Midnight Channel. So there's a rumor going around that you can look into the TV at midnight and you can see your true love. When we do that, we do see someone there. We also find that we have the ability to be able to go inside the television into this whole other world. So the game takes place in Inaba, in the real world, and then in the dungeons, which is the television world. That's kind of where we are. I'll let it take it up from there.
You guys came.
So her friend Yosuke, that's Chie on the right and us on the left. His parents own this store, which is, you can think of it like a Walmart equivalent.
We came to stop you, idiot! Come on, you really shouldn't do this. It's too dangerous.
I know, but we were able to come back once, right?
So we're sort of a mix between a JRPG and a visual novel.
If we go in from the same location, maybe we'll meet that bear again.
Maybe isn't good enough.
Look, I can't just act like everyone else and pretend this has nothing to do with me.
It's also a bit of a Pokemon-y aspect to it, where you're collecting these creatures and using them to fight.
That's true, but...
What about you? Could you just walk away?
Can't leave it alone. It doesn't involve me. I'm worried about Chie. Can't leave it alone.
Yeah, I thought not. I'm glad to know you're that kind of guy. Don't worry, I'm not going in without a plan.
Huh?
Skipped early. Sorry.
What's that? A rope?
We'll go in with this tied to me. So I want you to hold on to this and wait here.
Yeah, time management is so stressful in these games. That's another reason why it's hard for me to play them, because it simulates real life too well, where all these people are vying for your time and attention, and they have like gameplay altering repercussions as to whether or not you're fitting all that in correctly.
What? Then this is a lifeline? Come on, wait a sec.
Here, this is for you.
Golf club. Yeah.
I thought it might be better than going in empty-handed. All right, let's go. There's no use wasting any more time.
And I think Persona 3, 4, and 5 all have some really good story elements and deal with some mental health issues, issues of loss and trauma, and issues of identity. I think some of it is dealt with well, but I think some of it is also dealt with poorly. So it's hard to like blanket recommend them. I'll talk a little bit as we sort of move forward about some of the things I think Persona 4 does well and not so well.
Hey! I said wait!
But overall, I think they're incredible video games that are absolutely worth playing. And I believe they're on sale on Steam right now. Which is how I'm playing this one.
See? I knew this wasn't gonna work. Now what?
So we're seemingly the only ones that have the ability to go inside the television. It didn't seem to work for Yosuke and Chie.
Is this? Look, this is the same place as last time. So they are connected from place to place.
So this is inside the TV world.
Guys, why'd you come back?
So I love the design of it. There's you know, lights like we're in a television studio in the background. I think the fog stuff is done so much better in the PlayStation 2 version. It's a problem that games that have remastered PS2 games have had, where programmers used sort of innate technical capabilities of the PS2 in order to handle fog. And so like that code doesn't translate to other mediums or to other platforms so well. So I feel like it's done a lot worse here, unfortunately.
I get it. You're the ones behind this.
You're that thing from last time. Wait, what the hell did you just say?
But this does have
Lately, I can tell someone's been
like,
throwing people in here.
this has difficulty versions, which I believe the original one did not have. And I'm not sure if the original had it or not. I never had a reason to use it, but I did this time, where you can skip through cutscenes and dialogue. I own Digimon Survive. It's on my list to play. I have played Broken Sword. I want to say the original, the first one. Did the original come out on the DS? Can't remember. There are new characters in Golden as well. There were new characters added in Persona 3 Fez. And yeah, there's a girl in a skirt that I did not recognize at the beginning of this game, who must be new to this version.
It's making this world more and more messed up. This is the second time you guys came here, and I don't think anyone forced you in. That means you're the most suspicious. You guys must be the ones throwing the people in here.
What are you talking about, throwing people in? If someone was thrown in here and they couldn't get out, they might die. Who would do such a... Wait a sec. All this talk about someone throwing people in here. Does he mean Senpai and the announcer? Did that someone throw those two in here?
So the people who died were murdered in it was mysterious circumstances. One of them just sort of appeared on top of a weather vane or a radio tower.
Hey, what do you think? Yeah, I agree. Let's assume he's telling the truth. Could it be that someone's throwing people in here intending to kill them? If that's the case...
What are you guys mumbling about? Why'd you come here anyways? It's a one-way door. You can't get out once you're in.
So this character got us out last
Remember
time we got
how
in here.
I had to let you guys out?
Yeah,
Explain.
whatever.
Persona is a little like Neil Breen in that things get repeated a lot.
We don't need your help this time. See? This time we have a lifeline. What? Hey, you better let us out once we're done investigating here.
I'm the one who wants to investigate. I've lived here for a long time, but it's never been noisy like this till now. Do you have proof? Prove to me you're not throwing people in here. See? So it is you guys.
For the last time, it's not us, so we've got nothing to prove to you. Hey, you better answer our questions. This isn't like last time when we came by accident. We're dead serious. Listen up, because people have died in our world. Every time the fog appears, a dead body shows up with it. It has to be related to this place somehow. If you know something, tell us.
A dead body? Whenever the fog appears? I know that if it's foggy on your side, the fog lifts here. It's really dangerous when the fog lifts. That's when the shadows get violent.
I feel like we need Zelda highlighting text. Some of this is important, but it'll also be told to us like 1,000 times, so we'll be okay.
If you get it, then explain it to us, damn it. If it's foggy on our side, it isn't in here. Shadows get violent?
That's why I said to hurry back. It's dangerous when that happens. Okay, no more questions. I know you guys did it. You better stop right now.
I've told you and told you we're not the ones doing it. I've about had it with you. Why the hell won't you listen to what we're saying?
I'm just saying, you might be the culprits. I'm just making sure.
What? Man, this bear's driving me nuts. What is this place anyways? It looks like a TV studio. Is something being filmed here? Hey, don't tell me. Is that weird show being filmed here?
Weird show? Filmed? What does that mean?
I'm asking if someone's been filming the people that get thrown in here.
Yosuke needs to work on his communication skills.
I don't get it. This world has always been like this.
Not really good
No
at
one
reading
has
the
ever
room.
done that filming thing here. Only me and Shadows are here. I told you before.
Look, we don't know what these shadow things are, or what you are either for that matter. You keep telling us to prove our innocence, but you're the most suspicious thing here. Maybe you're the real culprit. And what's with that stupid costume? I'd say it's time you showed your face.
Doesn't even unzip. Just rips it straight off.
Whoa! What the hell are you? It's empty inside.
I remember in the PS2 version it looking more empty. Here it looks more like there's just a black cloth over top of it.
Me? The culprit? I wouldn't do such a thing. I just live here. I just want to live here peacefully. Okay, I'll believe that you guys aren't the culprits.
Good.
But I want you to find the real guy who did all this. You have to stop him. Promise me. Or else... I'm not gonna let you guys out of here.
You little...
This can't keep going on. My home here will be a complete mess. And then I...
What are you crying for all of a sudden? Jeez, this thing's really weirding me out.
Mysterious Bear is asking you to find the culprit behind this. Someone on the outside is throwing people into this world. The culprit isn't you. He wants you to find the real culprit. The Mysterious Bear seems serious about this.
Hey, what should we do?
You remember the words of the mysterious old man who called himself Igor.
It seems you will encounter a misfortune at your destination, and a great mystery will be imposed upon you.
Could this be the mystery that will be thrust upon you? What was the contract Igor spoke of? Could finding the culprit and solving the case be part of this promise? In any case, since you cannot leave the TV world on your own, there seems to be no other option.
You're the only ones I can ask. Will you promise me?
I promise.
Thank you!
Damn bear. Practically holding a gun to our heads. But it's true that we came here to
Persona
figure
3
things
reference.
out. So far, we're completely in the dark. Look for the culprit, huh? Bring it on. You got my word, too. Might as well introduce ourselves. I'm Yosuke Hanamura, and this is my buddy. You got a name?
Teddy!
Teddy.
Figures. But how are we supposed to find the culprit in the first place?
I don't know. Oh, but I know where the last person came in.
The last person? You mean Saki-senpai?
So Saki is a co-worker, and I would say implied to be crush of Yosuke.
I mean the person who came in and disappeared last time. I don't know the name. Well, I'll take you there. You might find clues. Oh, one thing first. You two should put these on.
Kabam! I should have saved my glasses until now. As you put on the glasses, your vision instantly becomes
Whoa.
much clearer.
The difference is like night and day. With these on, it's like the fog doesn't exist.
They'll help you walk through the fog. Well, I've been here for a long time, so you can rely on me. But I can only show you where the place is. You guys will have to defend yourselves.
What happened to relying on you? There better not be any monsters, you understand? We brought weapons, but I mean, they're more for show. We just got here. If it's so dangerous, why don't you do something instead of relying on us?
No way. I've got no muscles. Oh, I'll give you guys moral support from a safe distance. How's that sound?
It's Calvin's strategy in 2v2 Smash Brothers. Can Teddy really not fight?
No!
Is this thing for real? This is so lame. We swore to find the culprit, and this is all the backup we get?
Everything else in here can fight.
Oh yeah. Can I ask
Not
you
Teddy.
something? Who's this Saki-senpai person? Someone you know?
That doesn't matter right now. Anyways, at least now we know Senpai might have been thrown in here. Maybe we can find more information too. Let's get moving.
So there's a lot of gameplay elements we won't see because it's a 100-hour
What is
game,
this place? It looks just like the shopping district.
and it takes many hours before you're able to
What's
actually
going on here?
get everything that you're going to have access to.
Places have appeared here recently.
I think Persona 3 probably handles it the best of the three that I've played, but the games are about, one of the things they're about is making connections with people and how those connections increase your power.
Things are getting so tangled. I don't know what to do.
And that is one of the things that I think that the series does well.
By the way, why are you standing so far from us? You better not be planning to hightail it if something does come up.
Of course not. I mean, I can't stand too close, I get in your way.
Man, they really went all out on this. But out of all the places in town, why'd they replicate this one?
How should I know? This is reality for the one who's here.
So it's like a Silent Hill-ish, where a dark reflection of the real world.
But if this is our shopping district, we're not far from Saki-senpai's. I knew it! This is the liquor store that Senpai's parents run. Does this mean Senpai disappeared here? What could have happened?
Wait a second. They're here!
What?
Shadows. I had a feeling they were going to attack.
Shadows again, like Eco.
Huh?
Yeah, I think the shadows in this game more represent darkness and evil in the world, whereas in Eco, I think they more represent trauma.
And call forth what is within.
Creepy smile we got. I'm not gonna lie. Persona music is incredible. But yeah, this idea that we have this great strength within ourselves, and it is a strength that is.
Some shadows have
Skip most of this here, but it's a strength that is reinforced by connections with other people, and the more that we connect and help those people, the stronger it makes ourselves. I think it's a great message, and I think that it's one that the Persona series does pretty well. Set it to super easy. Don't need to analyze. Played this game before. But yeah, in JRPG you have magic, you have attacks, but you also have personas that you can equip. As you go through the game, you'll be able to equip multiples of them and switch between them in battle. And they all have their own abilities and their own strengths and weaknesses.
Congratulations, Sensei!
Level up. Then you can take these personas and fuse them to make other personas that carry some of their abilities and their stats moving forward. It's a really great system. It's pretty complex if you've never played a Persona before. But once you get it in one, it kind of carries over to the other ones. I think Aaron would like Persona. Alright,
Whoa,
Nagi.
what was that? Did I hear you say Persona? What was it? I mean, what did you do? Hey, you think I can do it too?
We're a little
Down,
different,
Yosuke. You're
but
troubling Sensei.
the way that everyone else gets their Persona is, well, we're gonna see that here in a second. I think that is also
Gosh almighty!
done well.
You're amazing, Sensei! I am one impressed bear. I can't believe you were hiding such an amazing power. No wonder the shadows were scared of you. Are you the one who's able to bring people into this world? And that's what I thought. This is really something. Don't you think so, Yosuke?
Dude, you call him Sensei and then don't show me any respect?
Sorry.
Well, your support wasn't bad, though. I gotta give you some credit for that.
Huh? Really?
All right. You two keep it up, and I think we'll be fine from here on out. Now let's get back to the investigation. Man, I wonder what could have happened to Senpai here.
Voices begin to echo from somewhere.
I wish Janess would go under.
It's all because of that store.
What the?
I heard that Konishi-san's daughter is working there.
Oh my, how could she with her family's business suffering like it is?
I heard their sales have gone downhill because of Juness.
Stop it.
That poor father, to have his own daughter working for the enemy.
What a troublesome child.
Hey, Ted. You said that this place is reality for those that are here, right? So, does that mean this was Senpai's reality when she wandered in here?
I only know about what's over here.
Fine. Whatever's going on here, we'll find out ourselves.
But yeah, I think there's some good anti-bullying messaging in these games. And just what kind of effect
Not again.
that can have on people. Like, you know, when people aren't being accepting or aren't trying to look at things from other people's perspective, but imposing their perspectives on other people and the sort of damage that can have.
Saki, how many times do I have to tell you?
Is this Senpai's dad?
You know what the neighbors say about you, right? Aren't you ashamed of yourself? You're the eldest daughter of a family who's owned this store for generations. Is it the money? Or did you meet some guy there? Just tell me why you have to work there of all places.
I can't believe this. She seemed like she had fun at work. She never said anything like this to me. You're telling me this was how Senpai really saw things? These photos. Hey, is this... It's the photo we took the other day with the other part-timers at Juness. Why is it cut up like this?
Scrap of the photo shows Saki Kanoshi smiling. Yosuke is standing next to her.
I never had the chance to say it.
Is that Senpai's voice?
I always wanted to tell Hana-chan
Huh? Me?
that he was a real pain in the ass. I was nice to him just because he was the store manager's son. That's all. But he takes it completely the wrong way and gets all enthusiastic. What a dick.
Pain in the ass?
Who cares about Juness anyway? Because of that store, our business is ruined. My parents hate me. The neighbors talk behind my back. I wish everything would just disappear.
It's a lie. This can't be. Senpai's not like that. It's so sad. I feel so sorry for myself. Boo-hoo. Actually, I'm the one who thinks everything's a pain in the ass.
And the shadow!
Huh? Two Yosuke's?
Who are you? I wouldn't think that. Yeah, right. How long are you going to keep deluding yourself? Screw the shopping district and Juness too. You're sick of everything, especially living out in the sticks. What are you saying? That's not true.
But yeah, you know, I think this is a good representation. I think we all have this shadow within ourselves, those like negative thoughts. And there's an interesting exercise. I'm not sure what the term of it is exactly, but I include it in the journal over at rollpunches.com, the campaign journal. But it's this idea of, like, whenever you're trying to work through something, either like whenever you're trying to work through some negative thoughts, this idea of writing a conversation between your own perspective and 3 others, and the 3 others are like the yourself, the nurturing parent, the critical parent, and then the child version of yourself. And I think this sort of often represents the child version, where it's just very emotional and very negative. But as we'll see, like, fighting against that is not necessarily the thing that we want to be doing.
You put on a good show of being carefree and happy-go-lucky because you're so terrified of being alone. The more the merrier, right? You've got to be surrounded by people to block out the pain of isolation. And what's this about checking out this world for Saki-senpai's sake? Ha! I know the real reason you came snooping. Stop it! Why so panicked? I thought I was just spouting bullshit. Or maybe I do know everything you're thinking. Why's that? Because I am you. You just came because you thought it sounded like a good time. What else is there to do out in this shithole? A world inside the TV. Now that's exciting. You didn't have a single other reason for coming here, did you? That's not true. Stop! Stop it! You're just trying to act like a big shot. If all went well, hey, maybe you could even be a hero! And that senpai you were so sweet on, her death was the perfect excuse. That's not true! What are you? Who are you? I already told you. I'm you. Your shadow. There's nothing I don't know about you. Screw that! I don't know you!
Now you'll see what happens when you reject those sort of things.
You can't be me, you son of a bitch!
Spoilers is not good.
That's right! Say it again!
In real life or the
You're
game.
not me! You're nothing like me! Yeah, that's right. I am me now. I'm not you anymore, see?
Big Frog Man.
I am a shadow. The true self.
Yeah, Pong, that's a good way to phrase it. If you reject it, it takes on a life of its own. And, like, it's not about, like, you know, you were not your thoughts and you were not your feelings. They are just a part of you. And it's something that you need to learn how to accept. And as one of my doctors says, dance with. Like, not fight, but dance through life. With those darker, more negative things. Because if you push them away and you give them, like, if you're afraid of them, it just gives them power. And that's talked a lot about in Claire Week's book, which I'll put back up on the screen at the end there, but the Hope and Help for Your Nerves. The same sort of idea, where in order to get past a lot of these things and to heal, you have to learn how to accept them first. And that's a very tough thing to do, especially when it comes to panic attacks or depression. Like, it feels so awful. The last thing that you want to do is feel it more. But you've got to find the strength in order to accept it, in order to be able to heal from it and move on.
I'll crush everything that bores me. Starting.
Of course, this is a video game, and we have to fight it first. The metaphor breaks down a little bit, but the themes are still here.
How long can you survive this?
This one's much stronger than the last type. Be careful.
Sounds like he's got a cold there.
Whenever you feel threatened, just defend yourself.
So, We're playing on super easy, so we don't really need to worry about any of that. But he has a weakness.
Soda!
At the very beginning of the game, like, the combat gets a lot more depth as you sort of go along. Ah, and just some of the best battle music ever. This song isn't even my favorite of the game, but
It's guarding its weak point.
You're getting to be a real pain.
it's still
Right,
a
I'm
banger.
gonna crush you with everything I got.
This is golden.
Soda!
Alright, we're almost done here. And there's just a little bit I think I want to show after. Pong, my theory is that the fight is your friends helping you go through it since the person in question is never involved. No, I agree. It's just, you know, it's framed as a fight, which I think is the wrong way to look at it. And it's the way I looked at it for most of my life. I was like, well, I need to fight this anxiety. I need to fight this panic and depression. Like, I can overcome it. But I think that's sort of where the metaphor breaks down because it is a game. I think Undertale shows maybe another way that they could have taken this in order to make the metaphor stick a little better. But the combat's really fun. So, you know.
Congratulations, Sensei!
Leveled up.
Yosuke, are you okay?
Yeah. What happened? You're not me.
That thing came from you, Yosuke. You have to admit it, or it'll go berserk again.
Yosuke seems reluctant to accept it. Just to yourself, you have to be brave or everyone's the same inside. What do you think, chat? I don't think any of them are bad options. I also like 3.
Is that supposed to be comforting? Damn it. It hurts to face yourself.
It does. It's not easy.
I knew it wasn't lying, but I was so ashamed that I didn't want to admit it. You're me, and I'm you. When you get down to it, all of this is me.
The strength of heart required to face oneself has been made manifest. Yosuke has faced his other self. He's obtained the facade used to overcome life's hardships, the persona Jiraiya.
This is my persona. When we heard Senpai's voice, I wonder if that was something Senpai had been keeping deep down inside. He was a real pain in the ass, huh? What a way to find out. Jeez, this is so embarrassing. If you weren't here, I don't know what would have happened. Thanks. Hey, Teddy. Could Senpai have been attacked by her other self here? Like how it just happened to me?
I think so. The shadows here were originally born from humans.
But Saki didn't have anyone with her in order to help her overcome. And so she perished.
Sometimes the fog clears, then they all go berserk. And you saw what happens next. A strong-willed shadow draws others to it, and the big mass of shadows kills the host.
So that's why people die when it gets foggy in our world.
Yosuke's pretty worn out. This world isn't made for humans. It's not comfortable for you here.
God, that's how I feel about our world and me.
I don't hear any more voices.
Not made for me.
I think we're done with this place. Let's go back.
Maybe I just need to go inside the TV.
Hey, Teddy. You said that this place is reality for people who enter, right? So that shopping district and the weird room we saw before?
But yeah, like, you know, when you go and engage with those dark thoughts and, like, it just overwhelms you, it becomes reality, right? That's why it's good to get outside perspectives. And, like I said, I think that that exercise that is also in that journal over at rollpunches.com, where you're sort of externally writing a dialogue with yourself from different perspectives, I think can really help. Like, it's helped me a lot when I have trouble talking things aloud with other people. That can be sort of a first step in order for me to have that conversation before I then have that conversation with someone else. But you shouldn't just think that you can fix it while it's in your head, because you can't most of the time. You got to get it out, and then you've got to engage with it while it's outside and external in some way, whether that's through someone else or like by externalizing it and writing or something like that. I think that that is a big point of being able to get past some of those things.
Did they exist because the ones who died entered this world and it became their reality? I guess what I'm trying to ask is, did those places form because of the people who entered this world?
I don't know. It's never happened before. But that's probably where they were when the shadows attacked them. The fog does lift here sometimes. The shadows get really violent then. I always get so scared I have to hide when it happens. I sensed people here twice before, but both of them disappeared after the fog lifted.
So let's get this straight. Senpai and that Yamano lady were thrown in here, and after a while, that shadow thing came out.
I think that's all I wanted to deal with. There's just one other thing, but I'm not sure when exactly it happens. It might be for a bit. We made a promise. This fast forwarding was really useful for me, getting to this point. But you know, the story is definitely worth engaging with. I think there's a really good story here in Persona 4. Okay, I think it's right here. Nope. Okay. So that'll be it then. But opening that first connection with Yosuke.
Are you surprised?
Here, I'll let that one go out.
Are you getting used to your new town and school?
All right. We're back here. Let me move this over. But yeah, Persona 4 and like 3, 4, and 5 are all just fantastic video games. I think there are some problems. Yeah, they are on sale on Steam right now. Persona 4's Golden's 40% off, so it's only $12. You can get the whole bundle of 3, 4, and 5 for something. I don't know. Can't see it because I already own it. But, you know, it's on sale. And I think they're worth playing. But yeah, I think that idea of your shadow self sort of representing your darker thoughts and not fighting or pushing those away, but instead learning to deal with them and accept them. I think that's a great message. And it's covered in Hope and Help for Your Nerves, which is about anxiety and panic disorder specifically, but I think there's also a lot of really great stuff there for depression. I think PTSD. It's just helped me tremendously in a number of ways. There's also Claire Weeks has a few different audio books on Audible. There might be other places as well. They came out like on cassettes back in the day, probably records actually, that deal with the same sort of ideas, but she walks you through certain things like getting to sleep, which can be a problem. You know, going to the store and whatnot when you're like me and you get agoraphobic and have these panic attacks. Having her sort of walk you through dealing with some of that is great. But I highly recommend that. I also recommend up top donating to Vibrant Emotional Health. We'll be raising that money for that all month. They have several crisis hotlines, which are just hugely important for anyone who needs to reach out in a time of need. And like it says on the site, if you are unsure if you should call. Like, you know, there's no harm in doing that and talking to someone. Also do, you know, that book, but for free over at rollpunches.com. I have that campaign journal, which has several different techniques in order to help, you know, mental clarity, mindfulness, just dealing with these things, externalizing them. It's a workbook, so it describes some techniques and then also has spaces where you can put those into practice, and it's completely free. You just go there, you download it. There's a fillable PDF, and there's a version that you can print off as well if you prefer. All right, so that's all the games I'm going to cover this week. Next week, we're going to cover Celeste for sure, I think. And then I have a whole big list of games that I want to cover. If you have recommendations of games that you think embody, touch upon mental health for Mental Health Awareness Month, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, please leave them in the comments below over at Roll With The Punches YouTube channel. Comments for this channel, I'll be looking at those, and if there's some people, because there's some on my list that I have not played and I'm not familiar with. Every game today I have played, but there are a few that I have not. I cannot remember the name of that game, but I've heard a lot of people talk about Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, which I've owned for a while but haven't gotten a chance to play, so that's one that I want to try and check out this month. I'll be streaming Wednesday is the plan. I don't know if I'll be doing another one of these or if we'll just have like a mental health discussion stream. I think those are useful as well, and no better month than this one, since we're trying to, you know, just make it less taboo to talk about, because talking helps. It really does. I have seen Sailor Moon in Gummy Bears. Yeah. He-Man. I've seen some Digimon, but there's a lot I haven't. I haven't seen Shinzo, I don't believe. I don't think I ever watched She-Ra either. Persona 5 X, the mobile game? No, I haven't heard of it, but maybe I'll check it out. I usually just do like puzzle style games on my phone, but maybe. All right. Well, If anyone has any questions, ask them real quick. But so the games that we played today, most of them, all of them are accessible. Like if they looked interesting to you, I highly recommend all of them. Eco, you can play on the PS5, maybe PS4, PlayStation Plus. There's the PS2 version you can play. You know, emulation also exists. For Passage, that's free. There's a link in the description below. Same with Photopia. You can play that one right in the browser as well. And then Persona 4, also the original version on the PS2 I think is fantastic. But there is the new version, Golden, that is on Steam and is currently on sale. So would make sure to check that out. All right, I think that's going to do it for me for today. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, everyone, for donating. Let me double check and make sure I didn't miss any donations before we end here. Not back. I want to refresh. Nope, looks like I got them all. Thank you so much, everyone, for the $335 in total donated. Special thanks to Uncle Panda for the top donation still of $100. We'll be raising money all month towards that $5,000 goal. Make sure at 3 p.m., so like in 19 minutes over at Wave Squadron, there is going to be part 2 of the Sons of Dathomir comic book reading. So make sure directly after that, head over there, get in line, because there's going to be a live premiere. I think Aaron, Eric, and Calvin will probably be in the chat for that. At least they were last time. So make sure to check that out. That's going to be happening today. Next week, I know Eric is going to be starting the God of War DLC stream. And then at the end of the month, we're going to be having a special Rock Band stream. So make sure to follow us on Twitch, get those notifications. Make sure to subscribe here on Roll with the Punches as well, so that you don't you don't miss any streams or videos that come out, because I think they are important. All right. Well, thanks so much. Have a great weekend, everyone. And I'll see you next time. Later.